Hello, I'm Sonja from Kids First Children's Services. Does your child struggle to sit still? Now we know that everybody needs to move. It doesn't matter whether you're a little person or a big person. We all need to move, and children particularly need to be able to move so that their brain and their body is in balance. But for some children, there is a little bit more movement and a little bit less focus sometimes than their grown-ups would like. And so many parents do ask our occupational therapists, why can't my child sit still? Well, there's often a variety of reasons. Some of them are physical and developmental reasons. Some of them might relate to the child's environment. Let's start with some of those developmental reasons for why children can't sit still. Many kids can't sit still because they're extremely sensory sensitive. This means that they take in all the sights and the sounds and the smells and the touches and the tastes that are part of their environment, and they are super switched on to that. They're really tuned into it, and it affects them more than it affects perhaps another person. And so they respond to those things by sometimes moving away or moving around. And so that sensory sensitivity could be one of the reasons why your child can't sit still. Some children have problems with their postural muscles. This means that the muscles that are deep inside the core of their body, the ones that help them to stand up, and sit still, are not as strong as they once or could be. We see this a lot these days now that portable devices are part of children's worlds, because children are spending more time in a seated position or hunched over doing this. They're not using these big muscles, and the big muscles are the ones that help them to sit still in a playground or in a classroom or in a family meal. And so what we know for those children is that if we can engage those core muscles, if we can get children being more active, but in a really targeted way so that it builds those particular muscles, that can make a big difference to attention. Because if your child's a little bit like a wobbly noodle, their muscles are not strong enough to hold them up. Of course, they're going to lose attention in the classroom. Of course, they're going to be watching what year 6 are doing as they go past to the library. Or of course, they're going to be watching what another group of children or an educator in early childhood environment are doing, rather than focusing on the group time that they're supposed to be engaged in. So take a look at your child's postural muscles. That could be one of the keys. Another thing that affects children who can't sit still is their proprioceptive system. The proprioceptive system is the one that manages their sense of movement and place. It's where their joints fit into their body. For some kids, they just can't work out where their body begins and ends, and so they're constantly moving, trying to work that out. Other children have problems with their vestibular system, and this is the movement system. This might affect your child if your child is the sort of child who's constantly rocking or kicking or moving. They're seeking movement because it makes them to feel calm. Now, if you're a grown-up who needs to go for a run or needs to go to the gym before you begin your day, you might understand this sensation. You might feel that you need movement to feel centered and calm and able to attend to the things that you need to do every day. Children are just the same. Some children need movement. Now, of course, you can throw your children out into the backyard and they can jump around on a trampoline, but it might not be the kind of movement that they actually need for their sensory profile. So it's always worth getting advice if you have a child who wriggles around a lot, to see if there are some specific things that would help your child to be able to pay attention, sit still, and stay engaged. Don't forget too that there are always other factors. There are many children who could sit for hours playing Lego and be very, very focused, but when a task is not really a favoured task, they tend to get the wriggles. But equally, some children who are not feeling well, kids who are hungry, or children who are just fatigued often find it really hard to sit still. So you know your child best, you know where these things happen, and you know the pattern of their behaviour. So If you've seen these things in your child, why not tell us what you do to help your children in the comments below? And don't ever forget that seeking advice is always a good idea. When in doubt, check it out. Bye for now.